The American Regional Theater. Prior to the 1950s, New York City, with its powerful theater investors, was the only major center for theater production in our country. Many theater companies based on the East Coast were touring the United States, but few cities had resident companies of actors who regularly produced plays for local audiences. The economic boom of the 1950s, however, made the climate favorable for theater companies to begin to appear in cities like San Francisco, Minneapolis, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Dallas, and Houston. A major factor in the growth of these companies, which became known as regional theaters, was new financial support. Corporations and foundations began to donate large sums of money for local arts development. The most important of these agencies was the Ford Foundation. In 1959, the Ford Foundation granted several regional theater companies funds that made it possible for them to raise the salaries of their artists significantly. This extra money also dramatically increased the producers' flexibility with regard to the plays that they chose to produce. Prior to this time, there was a great deal of pressure on local theater groups to produce the same style of flashy and costly musicals and comedies that were popular on Broadway at the time. The new funds from the Ford Foundation made it possible for the regional groups to produce the plays in which they were most interested, those that had become successful in European theater companies, as well as classic plays such as those by Shakespeare, Ibsen, Chekhov, and Molière. The Ford Foundation later began giving grants to the regional theaters, specifically to commission new plays and hire playwrights to create new American dramas. This made the variety of theater experiences available to American audiences wider than ever before. By far the most influential of the early regional theater groups was in Minneapolis. Tyrone Guthrie founded the Minneapolis Theater Company in 1963. The group built a beautiful 1,400-seat theater space with a thrust stage and audience seating on 3 sides, so that no audience member was an extreme distance from the stage. This group later changed its name to the Guthrie Theater, named for its founder. It remains one of the United States' most successful and popular regional theaters. The Guthrie showed other major metropolitan areas they too could support a resident professional theater company, if they provided the necessary space and support to make that goal a reality. By the mid-1960s, there were over 30 regional theater companies in the United States, providing jobs for artists and theater opportunities for audiences who could never have traveled to New York to see professional productions. Regional theater continues to grow. Today, there are more than 1,000 regional and nonprofit theater companies in the United States.